As the wheels of history roll forward, the Ming and Qing periods witnessed profound changes in Chinese society. During this time, the traditional feudal order faced numerous challenges, and subtle yet far-reaching changes occurred in economic, political, and cultural aspects. Meanwhile, a new ideological trend, Ming, Qing practical learning, quietly emerged. Thinkers such as Huang Zongxi, Yanwu, and Wang Fuzhi, with their profound insights and bold critical spirit, reflected on tradition and played a prelude to the modernization of Chinese thought. In the distant West, the Enlightenment was in full swing. An ideological feast was taking place simultaneously on different stages in the East and the West. Let's explore the mysteries within. In the mid-late Ming dynasty, the commodity economy boomed, and the sprouts of capitalism emerged in the Jiangnan region. The prosperity of cities led to the growth of the urban dwellers class, who had new demands for the social status quo and traditional thoughts. However, feudal autocratic rule was increasingly strengthened. The imperial examination system based on the stereotyped eight-legged essays imprisoned people's thoughts, and Cheng, Zhu Neo, Confucianism gradually became a tool for maintaining feudal rule, becoming rigid and dogmatic. During the transition from the Ming to the Qing dynasty, with regime changes, social unrest, and people's hardships, these real-world problems prompted the insightful to re-examine traditional thoughts and seek new ways to save the nation and the people. Thus, Ming, Qing practical learning came into being. Huang Zongxi, a thinker living in the late Ming and early Qing dynasties, fiercely criticized the feudal autocratic monarchy with his sharp pen. In his work Waiting for the Dawn, A Plan for the Prince, Huang Zongxi pointed out that the greatest harm to the world is the monarch alone, profoundly revealing the oppression of the people by feudal autocratic monarchy and its hindrance to social development. He advocated restricting the power of the monarch and proposed the establishment of a prime minister position and schools. The prime minister would assist the monarch in handling government affairs, and schools should not only be educational institutions but also become places for discussing politics, supervising and criticizing the monarch's actions. Huang Zongxi's thoughts were like a dawn, illuminating people's understanding of the darkness of feudal autocracy and providing important inspiration for the development of later democratic thoughts. Yanwu advocated the thought of applying knowledge to practical affairs, emphasizing that learning must be beneficial to national affairs. Having witnessed the fall of the Ming dynasty and social unrest, he deeply felt the uselessness of empty talk about righteousness. Yanwu advocated stepping out of the study, paying attention to the real society, and seeking solutions to practical problems through on-the-spot investigations and research on historical and social issues. His work record of the advantages and disadvantages of the prefectures and counties in the empire detailed the geography, customs, economy, etc. of various regions, providing rich materials for later generations to understand the social situation at that time and solve practical problems. Yanwu's famous saying "everyone is responsible for the rise and fall of the country" has inspired countless Chinese people to strive for the fate of the country, embodying a strong sense of social responsibility and dedication. Wang Fuzhi was an outstanding materialist thinker with remarkable contributions in the field of philosophy. Wang Fuzhi criticized the idealist view of principle preceding qi in Cheng, Zhu Neo, Confucianism and put forward that qi is the basis of principle, believing that the world is material, matter is constantly changing, and principle is the law existing in matter. He also emphasized the absoluteness of motion and the relativity of rest, with simple dialectical thoughts. In terms of political thoughts, Wang Fuzhi advocated innovation and opposed following the old ways, believing that history is constantly developing and progressing, and people should conform to the trend of history. His thoughts injected new vitality into the development of ancient Chinese philosophy and had a positive impact on the later ideological liberation. Almost at the same time, from the 17th to the 18th century, the Enlightenment thrived on the European continent. Thinkers such as Voltaire, Rousseau, and Montesquieu became the leaders of this movement. They held high the banner of rationalism, opposed feudal autocratic systems and religious superstitions, and advocated concepts such as freedom, equality, democracy, and the rule of law. Voltaire vehemently attacked the darkness and corruption of the Catholic Church and advocated freedom of belief and speech, Rousseau put forward the social contract theory and the people's sovereignty theory, believing that the power of the state belongs to the people, and the people have the right to overthrow a government that goes against public opinion. Montesquieu proposed the separation of powers theory, advocating the separation of legislative, executive, and judicial powers and their mutual checks and balances to prevent the abuse of power. The Enlightenment laid the ideological foundation for the modernization process of Western society and promoted changes in politics, economy, culture, etc. Comparing Ming, Qing practical learning with the Western Enlightenment, we can find many similarities and differences. The similarities are that they are both ideological movements that emerged during periods of social change, both criticized traditional authorities and old systems, and both promoted ideological liberation and social progress to a certain extent. However, there are also significant differences. Ming, Qing practical learning was mainly a reflection and correction of traditional Chinese thoughts. Although it criticized the feudal autocratic system, it did not fundamentally deny the feudal system. Its purpose was more to save the feudal ruling crisis, while the Western Enlightenment was a complete ideological revolution aimed at overthrowing the feudal system and establishing a new bourgeois democratic system, opening the way for the development of capitalism. In terms of ideological content, Ming, Qing practical learning focused on applying knowledge to practical affairs, criticizing the autocratic monarchy, and philosophical thinking. The Western Enlightenment emphasized modern values such as rationality, freedom, equality, and democracy, having a more profound impact on later political systems and social development. The profound reflections of thinkers such as Huang Zongxi, Yanwu, and Wang Fuzhi in Ming, Qing practical learning, as well as the comparison with the Western Enlightenment, allow us to clearly see the unique trajectory of Chinese thought in the process of moving towards modern times. Although the modernization process of China was full of twists and turns, Ming, Qing practical learning was undoubtedly an important prelude in this process. It accumulated precious spiritual wealth for later Chinese ideological changes and social development, and also made us more deeply understand the complexity and diversity of the development of Chinese thought when looking back at history.